Good morning. I visited Edinburgh yesterday, and I visited Arnott Manderson, the law enforcement company, and its headquarters in Parliament Square in Edinburgh. It is magnificent. The woman I met looks just like Renee Fleming, who sings Panis Angelicus, which is one of the songs that I've got on the playlist with Mozart songs, and the songs that are sung by Mozart's people, the songs that Mozart is most famous for in the Amadeus movie, a lot of them are sung by Flemings from the Bond circuit and the Bond syndicate. That's Ian Fleming's kind, and some of them on the twee pianos that we used to listen to with our fingers in our ears in Scotland are played on the two pianos by the Perez family. Okay, I've discovered what the lyrics of the German song sung by Marlene Dietrich means. It's "Where have all the flowers gone? Where have all the soldiers gone? Where have all the young people gone?" It is sick and sad that all of that is plotted in the back room by people that should be exposed for their allegiances to vicious secret societies, which include the police force. Okay, this is a pretense that the mobsters in the Chipping Norton set, which I've described in the previous video that I made on my, it's not on a playlist, it's just on my list of videos under George Lee's or George Kelsonian, Smithsonian. You can find it on YouTube either with either of those terms, and I've posted it on my Facebook page now. And thank you to everyone who, when they see my videos, understand that that is the way that society has been dismembered by lowlife and by prime ministers and NATO's armies, all in the same team to steal from the world's children. Okay, the Arnott Manderson HQ is magnificent. Let's have a wee reminder about what they stand for. Okay, this is the last video I made. NATO field marshals, admirals and Israeli generals. It's about private security firms and how much money you can make beyond retirement in the violence sector and in the tank commander sector, run by the Chipping Norton set as usual, and run by Israeli tank commanders who are also prime ministers in Israel. They then join league with our MI6 specialists and they create companies like Ergo. Let me remind you about the Scottish content in this video and the scandals that have been created by false news law firms. I visited Arnott Manderson yesterday.
Toxic Deadpool in 2001. Isn't that funny? And he's been an enemy of mine since he sparked as to keep an eye on me really closely. But they know that the links to Northampton, which I exposed, and the links to the Napoleonic culls, which their history teacher was aware of, that history teacher died really suddenly, and the Melrose man was really spooked by that. And the Melrose man, that weekend that his teacher died, embraced me and the tears were running down his cheeks. I don't know how the gods do it, but they know.
Okay, so I'm going to show you again a reminder of the magnitude of the frauds and the jokes that they share about the erosion of law enforcement in Scotland. Yesterday I went to Edinburgh with a poster hanging round my neck. I walked along Princess Street I walked and talked to all sorts of fundraisers for charitable scams. I did not talk back to them about what I was, and they did not ask me why I had a poster depicting Colonel Tim Spicer and African war crimes hanging round my neck. They have a mission to continue with stealing from the people, and I had to go to Edinburgh yesterday because it's the only way I can withdraw money from a bank account. The money has been in the bank for 5 years since I returned to New Zealand. I invested £5,000 in the Co-op Bank, which has been busted. They had never heard behind the counter of Peter Marks, who got £5 million to bust it and to hand it into the Lloyd's toxic debt pool that is now massive, with every one of the viable financial services entities that they merge with and gobble up. That includes the Sainsbury's acquisitions that I told you about yesterday, and all of it is called the Lloyd Verdi Project. And I've written to the Parliamentary Standards for Banking Committee, led by Miss Hodge, the Oppenheimer woman before she married. Okay, and here is just a little reminder about why I am focused on the crimes in Edinburgh and their role in international criminality, because all of the legal firms in Edinburgh are absolutely massive. And a very friendly chap who gave me a lift into Edinburgh was able to confirm all of the criminality and all of the frauds are perpetrated all over the world, and he knows a lot of them, and a lot of them are perpetrated out of Miss Anne Gloag's region in Perth. Okay, they're not going to let this play again, I don't think, because I've just started to archive the footage that I'm describing to you. Let's have another go. Okay, so the next picture, if they would let it flow and let it go, which they won't, shows you the crimes of Lord Mackay of Clashfern and the porridge people that are associated with that joke. That joke then extends right into the Chipping Norton set, Ronnie Barker, Ronnie Balfour Corbett, and they have a laugh at the ownership of Scotland's mountains. That is the Arnott Manderson, Moira Anderson killing joke, because Moira Anderson is a paedophilia victim 50 years ago, the year that I was born onto this earth. And when Stephen House revived it, that was when they created Arnott Manderson, so that Scotland could never win its referendum, and that its innocent newsmen, aka me, could fail to get the real news out about how the world is run entirely for profit by the world's politicians. In Edinburgh yesterday, I went to St Giles Cathedral. It's under repair. I went to the Arnott Manderson headquarters, and I was frisked, not frisked, but I had to give up all of the metal objects in my pockets, put them through a scanner as if I was leaving the country. Arnott Manderson will not allow me to communicate with Sheriff John Halley, and they don't call him Sheriff John Halley there because that is just one of his roles. He can be an attorney for the defence or for the accusers. He can be a sheriff in a neutral law court, and I've just had a visit from the police to my local scheme. Everybody is ever so nervous, and if the local police hit on me because I'm trying to save their pension, that shows you the irony of what is happening in our once great and spirited country. Okay, the computer is completely frozen, and I think I will just stop that video there at that point for effect. Okay, the police do not have the courage to call on me. Sheriff Sheriff Drummond, the scamster who celebrates the Five Arrows project and the corrupted law firms and the brutality of the Selkirk Law Court, which is staying open as 2 of the other 4 law courts in the Borders close this very week for lack of funding. My computer is frozen and I cannot show you the pictures of the 2 Ronnies. I cannot show you the picture of the 2 Ronnies that will show you the depth of the deceit in Edinburgh. Let me try another way of changing the windows that are open. You can see that I've got the Usual Suspects movie open, because the Usual Suspects movie is a story from Hollywood about how you can scam law enforcement, you can join the judiciary in your forces, you can then create myths that keep the people in fear, like someone in Russia who is doing the dirty on the free world, or in Kazakhstan. You know, all of those movies like Air Force One, where the real criminals are in the White House and in Westminster. That's how it works. And the real criminals in Westminster are in the drinking club with the Murdoch family, the Godfather that we told you about yesterday. They will not let me show you again the relevance of the Usual Suspects movie and how it takes in every sector of life to steal from the ordinary people. And the relevance of the Devil's Advocate film is directly relevant to the discussion I had with the one employee of Arnott Manderson that I found behind a desk in their corporate headquarters yesterday. There are no corporate details of the companies that trade in that magnificent Scottish Parliamentary building on the Royal Mile right next to St Giles, which is closed for respectability reasons, because the religious fraud is even bigger than the financial services fraud. And that is why all of these people, Jeremy Clarkson, David Cameron, Rebecca Brooks, and all of their wives and quislings in the psychiatry, get them in a straitjacket before they can tell the truth, or even play a YouTube video that might expose us as genocidal criminals. Okay? The woman yesterday at Arnott Manderson remembered Moira Anderson fondly. That's Moira Anderson, who, when you looked for her, as I right then, this is a really, really good movie, and I'm going to play it to you now to show you to show you how they manipulate the world. Okay, the man who plays the lead role is spookily like my brother-in-law, and his the fearful person that spreads the news about the world's owner, Kaiser Soze, is spookily like my brother-in-law's civil partner. He was played by a working class Geordie actor who died 18 months to 2 years ago. I forget the name of him. His character in this movie is Kobayashi, and all of the working class people who take the piss out of stealing from their neighbours and their working class citizens are in for the same package. As far as I can work out, God does not like traitors that dismember their country. Right now, let's have a wee look at what we see here, and let's get it rolling. Okay, this is him, the cripple. All of them are con tricksters or violent criminals, but the real criminals are in the police force and the judiciaries. That's the bit that you must watch in the Devil's Advocate film. For fear of copyright infringement, just let me show you that I own both of these movies. Yeah, and I've got them in my boxed sets. I'm not sure where there's the Devil's Advocate one, and the Lord of the Rings, The Right Stuff. All of it is a joke at society's expense.
At that point I wasn't scared. I knew I hadn't done anything they could do me for. Besides, it was fun. I got to make like I was notorious.
Alright, you won't know the drill. When your number is called, step forward and repeat the phrase you've been given. Understand? Number 1. Step forward.
Let's watch it. I was going to take you into Arnott Manderson and show you their staff base online. Yeah, they had one administrator behind the desk yesterday.
Hand me the keys, you fucking cocksucker.
Number 2, step forward.
The fucking keys, you fucking cocksucker motherfucker!
Knock it off, get back. Number 3, step forward.
So the computer's so slow that it cannot follow the prompts. They are really fearful of the disclosures that are going to ensue.
Number 4, step forward.
It was bullshit. The whole rap was a setup.
Hand me the keys, you fucking cocksucker.
It was all the cops' fault. You don't put guys like that into a room together. Who knows what can happen?
Hand me the keys, you fucking cocksucker. Why me? Why not Fester and McManus or Hockney? Why me? I'm stupid, I'm a cripple, why me?
Because you're a cripple, Verbal. Because you're stupid. Because you're weaker than them.
Okay, I've stopped it there to give you some perspective. So we've jumped from the beginning of the film, where the acknowledged culprits come together and one police whistleblower is drawn into crime. He's now confessing to the police, and he's making up the story that will get him freed and immunity from prosecution. He makes it up from the pin board on the back of his office desk, the policeman's office desk. And when I went to the Arnott Manderson desk yesterday, they have only one icon on the pin board, which is their corporate label. They do not dare hang that outside the building. There is no corporate ID. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. When I asked a barrister or a solicitor in a gown, she denied that they exist, and she told me that I could not find them here. I must look on the website. And when I went to the police station to report the crimes of Tim Spicer, with this poster hanging round my neck, yeah, this is the poster that was hanging round my neck. Colonel Tim Spicer, General Sir Mike Jackson, they are all in the team that is being described in that movie. Yeah, Spicer is the mercenary army leader in Africa for 3 decades, completely condoned by Britain. There have been attempts to tokenly prosecute him, all of which were overcome. The bastard is still at liberty, and he's a director on the company check listings that I had for the Trident scandal hanging round my neck as I walked around all of the religious epicentres of the fraud, all of the political and legal epicentres of the fraud. I visited the council building, and because my campaign is now global, there were 3 people outside, and I thought enthusiastically, these are administrators out of the office. And I began to tell them about Dave Prentice, and I asked them if they were union members, and were they aware that Dave Prentice is on the Court Bank of England. And they nearly blew me over when they told me that no, they were councillors. They look just like ordinary working men, They looked a bit shoddy, their suits were not spectacular, and two of them agreed with me that the financial crimes and the trickle-down scandals were terrible and that Scotland had been sold in the election. But the one with the SNP tag on did not agree. In other words, he's the quisling. You've usually got three people as representatives for causes like the SNP, and one of them is the past, one of them is the present, and one of them is the future, who will argue dogmatically about making our country even more complicated so that the people in these networks can thrive. Okay? They were decent enough when I patted them on the shoulders to see my statement that they looked like ordinary working men as a compliment. They did not try and have me locked up, and when I went to St Giles, right across the road, right next to the law courts, right next to the council building, the St Giles ordinary working men were delighted to talk to me, because they know that their pensions are screwed, and everybody knows that Prince Charles and the Rothschilds are the only beneficiaries of enslaving Scotland for centuries. Okay? David Cameron gets some trickle down. They take the fall for everything that the world owners do. Okay? Let me show you how this plot unfolds. This is now the finishing scenes and the way that he gets immunity from prosecution from what was printed. Oh, let me tell you before I end on that this is my attempt to go to the biggest police station that I can find, right next door to the streets in Edinburgh that are named after Andrew Carnegie, the humanist. Okay? And that is the St Vincent's branch. And the St Vincent story is about some saint in, I think he was an Italian saint within the Church of Rome, and he may well have been a whistleblower, because what they did is to stick a poker up his arse and burn him alive. That's the St Vincent that we sing about in the songs that are being sung about in the Opera House in Edinburgh, right opposite the Lothian Road Fraud Centre. 50 Lothian Road is full of virtual products frauds, and the financial services man who gave me a lift into Edinburgh knew all about most of the leadership team, including Sir Bill Gamble, and he was aware also that the virtual products frauds are massive frauds, and that the people that are CEOs on those frauds are also on the court of the Bank of England. I visited several academic departments, and when the academics, who are really clever people, began to hear my news that the unions were corrupted to that extent, and that explains why they and the lollipop lady that talked to me for a long time, because she is genuine working class and she was in Edinburgh when working for a decent living when I was a student there. Yeah, everything has changed, and everything is in that globalized web of deceit. The windows in the Arnott Manderson HQ are exactly the same as the windows in the Bank of England and every other central bank around the web of globalism that has taken the funding from all of society and gives up stories like this one to the free press, in inverted commas. Okay? And the free press now, the Sainsbury's people have relented. I don't know what happened to the young guy, but they are very apologetic but I still do not read the newspapers and touch them. This can be fixed by conscience and goodness. It's the only way out.
If he's dead, if what you say is true, then it won't matter. It was his.
This is the villainous person. The villainous person is a parody for the Rothschild family and their assassination bureaus, since they sequestered the Bank of England after the Waterloo frauds and the buying of Napoleon's soul and all of the elite people who culled all 600,000 of those troops, then sent some of them to Melrose, some of them to Northampton, and some of them to Wales to start the globalism project in our free world.
I did hate the taxi service in New York, wasn't it? Come on, tell me the truth.
It was all Keaton. We followed him from the beginning. I didn't know. I saw him die. I believe he's dead out.
Keaton is the police whistleblower who's mentioned in the Britney Spears "Let's Try and Break Free" by talking bullshit to the press.
Right.
You might stay for you, Ron.
You think he...
Kaiser Sosa? I don't know, Virgo. Kaiser Sosa is a shield, or like you said, a spook story. But I know Keaton, and someone is out there pulling strings for you. Stay here and let us...
So the sheriff's name on my innocent divorce case, I'm the innocent in my divorce case. My wife just wants the cash. She entered my home as a lodger, and she has left it with all of my children because I am fighting for the world's children's future and to end this vicious cabal that runs the world. Okay? And what this guy is telling them is that the innocent policeman who refused to become embroiled in fraud until they could coerce him into it, he was killed in the tragic events that followed. Yeah, it's like the BBC News. Nothing is truthful. All of it is for the profit stream, and the councillors appeared to blush when I talked to them on the trickle-down theme, and I told them about Camilla's brother being killed in the revolving door between politics and business. The Edinburgh councillors built the trams project. They built the corrupted Holyrood building that is only going to last for about 25 years, and then they're going to have to rebuild it again in another PPP scam. And everybody that I talked to on the streets of Edinburgh understood the PPP scams and how it works to dismember our country, and how our children are asked to pay for it even 30 to 40 years after it was built and blown over in the acts of God.
Detective.
No way. I'm not bait. I post today.
You posted 20 minutes ago. Captain Leo wants you out of here ASAP, unless you turn states.
I'll take my chances. Thank you.
If someone wants to get you, they're going to get you out there. Turn states evidence. You might never see trial.
Maybe so.
So I was a bit hesitant about entering the Arnott Manderson epicentre of fraud and going through that frisking process with the metal detection machine, because I could easily have been taken out. They do not have the courage even to do that, because my knowledge now is so public that if I get disappeared, then every politician in this country is deeply embroiled in what is not going to be a conspiracy theory, because it's gone so public. That's why the SNP are interested in me, and their party members are quislings, because they know that they have sold their country. The politicians will not let you talk to more than one or two people at a time, and the councillors in Edinburgh get elected by people that are so turned off by the political treason and the failure to deliver anything that none of the innocent people bother to vote anymore. Okay? When you go with the poster round your neck into their buildings, it makes them think twice, which is why they locked up the Holyrood Parliament building, and they've extended the Christmas holidays for the Scottish Justice Minister that is Michael Matheson and Paul Wheelhouse's deputy. They get another fortnight off, because I made the mistake, like the devil explains, of telling them that I was coming to accuse them of their massive cover-up of all of the crimes of the Trident scandal that could have made Scotland free. Scotland is a tiny nation in a global context, but I'm delighted that the nations all across Europe which have been suppressed by the G8 nations and the empire owners are now coming to talk to me openly, even on the streets of Scotland, which are privately owned.
But I'm not a rat, Agent Couillard. Okay, come on.
So it's a bad choice of video. So what he's doing now is he's joining his friend, the working class Geordie actor, in the car that played the agent for the Rothschild family and death threatened all of the people in that lineup that we saw at the beginning. Yeah. The gain that they get from it is worth millions and millions in suitcases, but they have not shown in this particular video clip of how he gets his evidence to make him innocent of all of the accusations, even of the New York Police Department within all its infamy. And the man's family, the man who gave me a lift into Edinburgh yesterday, his family members are also in financial services, and they have gone ballistic at a man called Bloomberg that they met early in their career. That's what can happen if spirited Scottish people realise that their pensions and their salary freeze is entirely premeditated by the people from the top of the local council. That's the chief executive and the upper echelons of society. Everybody else, including those councillors in Edinburgh that looked like ordinary working men, are the victims. So this guy gets immunity from prosecution because he makes up the stories about what was happening in his life in fraud from the characters' names on the billboard behind the police inspector. Okay, in the Arnott Manderson office they only have the Arnott Manderson corporate label on the board, which is on the front page of their website. The rest of it is tucked away and shielded, and the names of the sheriffs in the marital proceedings have changed from John Halley is a local Kelso name. That's a cover for Greg Hallett and the exposure of the illegitimacy of the Crown. The next sheriff was Drummond, who's a Freemason and celebrates the Five Arrows project in taking all of democracy's funds out of democracy and into the tax havens using the Law Society in Scotland. Okay, and the next one is John Patterson. John Patterson is my partner in making videos about the massive 2,000-year-old religious fraud. That's how law enforcement works in Scotland. It's a series of con tricks to take the attention of the innocent people. That's yours truly. Okay, I've got double chins at the moment. I'm very ashamed of that. And what they're doing is they're taking the money into the havens, like this guy has already done. And what they're panicking about, which is why the Parliament building has been closed for an extra fortnight, is the capacity of people like me to come into their presence and their cabal and tell the truth about how they've sold their country for private profit. I don't know what they can have at the rest of this video, but they interview with the police about the facts that make him innocent in inverted commas, and you can see that the stories I've told you about the cripple, the elephant man, and the person who's elected as the April Fool's Day king has a limp and a stoop.
Can I use your fax machine?
So let me read you what I got from the people in the region of Edinburgh, where all of the university students are now being robbed blind. And when I said to the academics, did you know that the Unison boss is on the court of the Bank of England, they literally dragged the woman away that I was talking to, because they are obligated to steal from their own students. Okay? The MP for that region is Ian Murray, and the constituency is called Mayfield. The Murray is a legendary name. That's the same man as busted Rangers twice. He's a leading Freemason. He's legless because he's affiliated to the Grand Prix circuit and Coulthard, and his headquarters are in Dunedin, where I was an honest professor for 6 years. But they would not allow me, or they would not allow the authorities to videotape my inaugural lecture, because it explicitly exposes Lord Sainsbury as the science minister in England and the man behind the global obesity epidemic. Okay, so they would not let me, despite Michael Matheson's instructions and the civil servants' instructions, to report it to the police force in Scotland. I went to the capital city yesterday. They gave me a form that could have become a formal incident number, but they refused to give me an incident number. They told me to look on the website and to start the whole of the vicious circle all over again. Yeah, as they get away scot-free with the building of the trams, the building of the Holyrood Parliament building, the building of the border schools. And the man who gave me a lift into Edinburgh yesterday, because he was in financial services, knew all about those scams. And when I told him that when I got made redundant at the Wellcome Foundation and that the broker took 40% of my fund for giving me the advice to join the corrupted firms in Edinburgh that now operate out of 50 Lothian Road, that was a massive crime against me, and that I should seek remuneration for that, I intend to do it. Thank you for the person who picked me up, and I hope that your illness gets better, because God does not like to take people out. Yeah, like these people do. Okay? And the actors, I don't know what they feel about the role in life, but the actors who play the roles pop up again and again and again, and they, like the New World Order bands, are picked to spend their whole life publicising and covering up what they publicise is the tyranny, and what they cover up are the crimes. And all of those massive films like Schindler's List and The War Horse, where the horses, the icon for the Pisos, are the victims in world wars and the heroes in the movies. It is vicious, and that is why they're beginning to quake. They know that God's on my side. When I visited Winston Churchill's mansion, almost the whole of that Whitney region were on the motorway, getting out of the way of me walking on their viciously criminal ground. That's the no bombing zone around Blenheim in Oxfordshire, and that includes the man Armstrong. He had the courage to come and meet me in the car park, and the car park blessedly was free. In Edinburgh yesterday, it's 30 pence now to take a piss in a publicly funded toilet. Okay? Let's see what they've got at the end of this. So there's the pinboard. At Arnott Manderson, they're very simple. They only have a picture of the Arnott Manderson name.
Associate, or no cars associate. If Keaton is alive, he's not coming up again.
I'll find him.
Waste of time.
Well, there's not a rumor that doesn't die.
What?
No. Man, you're a slob.
Yeah, but it all has just it all makes sense when you look at it. Right, you gotta like stand back from it. You know?
Medal winners. Yeah, everybody gets awards so they can pin them on the wall. And now, as an ashamed academic who spent his whole life giving stuff that is totally irrelevant to students who are now being robbed blind and cast into a life in debt. When I talked to the two French medics on the Royal Mile yesterday, you could see the compassion in their eyes. They claim that healthcare in France is relatively honest and that you get breaks on the fees if you take on healthcare there, or you commit to healthcare, you get a 30% discount. That the whole concept that we have to pay for the publicly funded initiatives again as we access the services is a vicious scandal which proclaims that all of the central banks around the world are prize winning thieves. The prize that they have won is the ownership of democracy's funding. Thank you to the French people for that open correspondence and the warm smile. It's completely different to the accusations of terror threats in Paris and in the city of Aberdeen and all over the UK that we are now getting, which allows them to thrive by fear-mongering, the Kaiser Soze plot.
You want to see a real horror show? See Michael Romish.
I could not afford a cup of coffee yesterday in Edinburgh. Yeah, everything in Edinburgh is expensive. Yeah, and when I went to the Parliament building and I went to the Holyrood Palace is right opposite the Parliament building in Edinburgh that is only going to last 30 years before they have to rebuild it. I asked about, because I could not enter the Parliament building and lobby the politicians with those posters and all of my accusations about the crimes. Okay, so they would not take my crime report and they referred me to a web address that I've always used. Contact us at scotland.pnn.police.uk. I've reported all of the Trident scandal to them at the same time as I reported it to Michael Matheson. And I've got Michael Matheson's receipt, I've got Paul Wheelhouse's receipt, and all of these people just persecute people on the streets right next door to Carnegie's Memorial for minor crimes, assaults. The vicious leaders of the dismemberment of our society are left alone to their crimes. That's Gordon Brown, Chancellor at Edinburgh University, where all of the academics have had their pay frozen for 7 years, and some of them are working on 0 hours contracts now. The stories that are in the Scottish press are shameful, and as I saw the men who were repairing the turnstiles at the backside, the civil service side of the Scottish Parliament building, they were able to tell me that they thought that the Parliament had been annulled or cancelled for another fortnight. Okay, and so everything that I've been told to do to report the Trident fraud, I've done it twice already. I've got the case number in Kelso. I've been refused the case number in Ian Murray's constituency of St Vincent's in Edinburgh. Oh, sorry, it was St Leonard's, and Leonard's is the Leon joke, the lion joke that takes you into the Isle of Skye and the shipping frauds. It's ever so complex when you globalise the stealing of the world's ownership. This is when he realises that the whole of the story he's just heard, like the newspaper output at this time, is bullshit. And you see the mosaic on his floor, like the mosaic that is on the floor of most of the churches, most of the Parliament buildings. It's all run by the elites right from the centre, and all of the genocides are run that way.
Convince me. Tell me every last
Back when I was in that barbershop quartet, Skokie, Illinois.
Where's your head, Agent Cleon?
Skokie, Illinois is the place in America where most Jews, it has more Jews registered in that state than any other state in that country. Yeah, and you know now about the Jewish involvement in the Supreme Court in America in extending World War II from 1917 to 1919. Yeah, and the stories about Woodrow Wilson and the coercion. I was able to talk to people on the streets of Edinburgh about such issues yesterday. That is democracy, and America is like that. They know the facts about their tyrants because they get it at American schools, and they even know about the financial crimes of Nancy McKinstry and her mission to take over with corporations the whole of the sovereignty of China. So Skokie also hosts a Holocaust memorial. Yeah, like the jokes about the Rothschilds and the shrubberies in North London near Tottenham Hotspur. And the Hotspur joke is about Harry Hotspur being killed in the Northumbrian bloodlines that were claimants to the English throne all of those years ago. And they think that revitalising little secrets like that about World War II are really, really funny. And all of them have Freemasonic numbers appended to them, because all of the presidents in America since the man that discovered the lightning strike, Benjamin Franklin, they have been Freemasons to sell their country to the Crown Templar in England, which is why Bill Clinton was elected, because he's the Queen's half-brother.
What we need to do is think back.
I'm sure you've heard many tall tales.
Rick Smart.
This isn't right.
I just want to hear
Tell me every last
It's all
detail.
there. And I'm telling it straight, I swear.
Some guy in California, his name's Redfoot.
A gift from Mr. Soze.
Talk to me for a minute. What about Redfoot?
Mr. Redfoot, you're nothing. Using porn.
Big, fat guy. I mean like orca fat.
Who's it for here?
And amidst legends.
So can you see why I use the orca word? Yeah, I'm not allowed to call people fucking obese, but they are using it in this massive joke about the ownership of the world, and it is all of the evidence that gets the villain freed.
Oh my gosh.
Back when I was picking beans in Guatemala, we used to make fresh coffee.
I know you thought he was a good man.
I know he...
This isn't right.
I just want to hear
Tell me every last
It's all
detail.
there. And I'm telling it straight, I swear.
Some guy in California, his name's Redfoot.
A gift from Mr. Soze.
So that one speaking now is the cripple's helper at the end of the film. He's the working class Geordie that died 18 months ago, and everybody that jokes about being working class and being a traitor to it and being in criminal syndicates, or everybody that jokes about the religious frauds, also die young. And the reason is plain to me why they now make contentious movies as cartoons, so that only the soundtrack is relayed by these highly paid propagandists who help the tyrants to steal our world.
What about Red? Mr. Redfoot, you're nothing. Using porn. Big.
Orca fat.
Fat guy. I mean like orca fat.
Who's it for here?
And amidst
There he is, the working class Geordie. Okay, all sorts of films in England. He is the person that is the advocate for the fearmongerer and the world's owner and the owner of its assassination bureaus, and that person is so ruthless that he would take the lives of his own family to show how powerful he is. That's like the Chipping Norton set. Yeah, they're all falling on their sword to cover their massive international crimes. Okay, it's really, really fascinating that they have the gall to disclose their project. Oh! Did you see them? They have not got the blue light flashing yet.
Kobayashi. So back when I was picking beans in Guatemala, we used to make fresh coffee.
I know you thought he was a good man.
I know he was good.
Tell me every last detail.
Strangest thing.
How do you shoot the devil in the back? It's over.
So all of his colleagues in crime get killed. Only one person benefits from it. And it's just like many of the videos that they make, that all the videos that they make about contricts in Hollywood, it's amazing. All the videos that they make about Sean Connery and the gladiator actor being involved in freedom fighting and fighting to the death with automatic weapons. Yeah, LA Confidential, all of it is a parody about what is actually happening in our world to dismember it. And I don't know why the police are circling around my estate, but the buckets have still not been emptied. But the bucket men now know the meaning of the bucket head joke and the Christianity jokes where they put buckets on the head of Jesus in Barcelona, and the dogs and cats jokes, all of them are now being understood. Yeah, the bucket men have had their pay frozen for 7 years. Some of the bucket men are working class people, and some of them play bowls, and some of them are leaders of the local cabals, and some of them were neighbours of mine when I was born onto the Balfours farm. All of them have had accidents. One of them's got a massive cancer, and he's a union leader, and a lot of the documents went missing from his home in the town of Kelso. Yeah, I will not name names. They know who I'm talking about, and the whole of the Borders cabal is a Freemasonic trap that will steal from every Borders family's children. My sons are now thousands of pounds in debt because they will not take my advice, because legally I do not have access to them anymore. I'm very grateful that they find the time to visit against their mother's will.
It's a detective from up on the high, Prince.
Tell me every
What
last
about a
detail.
pretzel, man? What's your story?
There was a lawyer.
What lawyer, Burble?
I'm Mr. Kobayashi.
Kobayashi.
Tell me every last detail.
I work for Kaiser Fuller.
What lawyer, Burble? Convince me. Convince me.
So he's been scammed. When I found the Arnott Manderson office yesterday, the lady was delightful. She looks just like Renee Fleming, the opera singer. That's the links to the Flemings again, who sings the song about freedom and the gods and the angels. That is Panis Angelicus. Yeah, it's amazing. The whole of society is intermeshed by people who are prepared to dismember their neighbours' prospects because they think that they alone are in a secret society, and that is really funny. That is why even Prince Charlie is cleverer than them. The monarchy run it along with the moneylenders. The monarchy take risks along with every other global citizen, and occasionally they have to take out family members to get supremacy. It happens all of the time. One cannot believe that it is allowed to continue in this day and age. And the people that I talked to from France yesterday, who are trained as medics and realise that the scam I'm talking about the student fees, was perpetrated in America 50 years ago, and that we can openly see that the Americans are more gullible than most of the other races, yeah, because they've allowed the sovereignty of their country to be undermined first by the Crown Templar and now by Israel, that was created by the Crown Templars moneylenders when the Balfours, on the farm where I was born, liberated Palestine and took it and created Israel from it, persecuted Palestine. Okay?
Every creeping scumbag that works the street for a living will know the name of Virgil King. The cripple, did you see him? The cripple, which way did he go?
Oh, he went out there.
I know you know something. I know you're not telling me to say something. I'm smarter than you, and I'm going to find out what I want to know, whether you like it or not.
To a cop, the explanation is never that.
You know what I'm...
So, can you see the analogies? Let me give you a little clue. Okay? They're taking the piss. Yeah? They're taking the piss and they're using the celebs to do it to you. All of your funds are busted, and that £5,000 I invested in the Edinburgh banks and the co-op scam, even although I reported it to Margaret Hodge and the parliamentary regulators, all of my news is ignored and they're allowed to get away with it. And the police that are circulating my home, that is going to be taken to me by Scottish Justice and law enforcement in inverted commas, I don't know what they're thinking of, because their salary, their pensions and their working hours are being directly impacted upon. Every parking attendant I met in Edinburgh yesterday, I asked them, do you still work for the council? And all of them said no, we're privatised and we're extremely proud of it. They will get no pension at all, because all of it goes to Malcolm Rifkin and the criminals at the top, the very, very top of society. Okay? And Sheriff Drummond, I would love to have a chat with you, because you look as if you might have the scope for innocence, and you pretend that you are campaigning for the funding of Scottish law courts. I can explain why all of that has been undermined, but it would be really, really good if we could meet in a public place, because I do not trust any of you as far as I can spit. And the police pensions are gone. And the fact that the police in Britain are being replaced by the police from Lithuania, that's the Melrose Sevens 2 years ago. The Melrose Sevens is run by the former treasurer at the Scottish Borders Council. He's a friend of mine. He sold us the characters in the Lord of the Rings movie. I can't remember how much we paid for it, but all of it, they think they're really clever as minor criminals at the local council, and everything they do is for their own welfare. No one is prepared to make a sacrifice for the entire citizenship of the country.
It's always simple. Come on, there's no reason to straight. No, I can never lose at all. Somebody with power. There was somebody who was capable of tracking us to New York. You think Kaiser is close to getting caught and sticks his head out? You get more Kaiser than me. Because you're stupid, Verbal. Because you're a cripple.
What I want to know is who's the gun.
You know the whole fucking time.
If he comes up for any reason, give me the name.
Sure, Keaton is dead. I can't feel my legs. Kaiser.
First thing I learned on the job, you know what it was? How to spot a murderer.
You tell me you got the cripple in there from New York.
Yeah.
He mentioned Kaiser Soze.
Who?
After that, my guess is you'll never hear from him again.
Isn't that funny? The working class Geordie is in league with the cripple to steal from the free world. And when you see the amputees that are involved in the plot that take you right up to the Dukes of Buccleuch, David Murray I know that God is on our side, and they know it too, which is why they closed the Parliament building yesterday. They fear an open discussion on what they have done to our countries, and that is every country. And I'm delighted that the people of those countries who now work in intel on behalf of the fraudsters at the top of the money lending chain, they are beginning to see that the world can be freed by open communications and mature conversation. Thank you to the French couple that I met both in Parliament Square, where Arnott Manderson only have the Arnott Manderson words on their corporate label, and you can only see it inside their office. They are ashamed of publicity now because of what the Chipping Norton set have done to Scotland's future. Yeah, and all of that is the persecution of an innocent, and I will relentlessly seek redress for the bad advice I was given on my pension. The man who gave me a lift to Edinburgh yesterday said that if you get pensions and you get advice for it, at most they should charge 1.5% of your fund. I paid 40% of my fund. The whole of my colleague base at the Wellcome Foundation, who took the choice of the corrupted companies in 50 Lothian Road instead of leaving it be in the corporate fund. The man who led the company at that time left it in the corporate fund. He's now on the Forbes rich list, and all of them are stealing from the NHS through massive financial frauds out of those epicentres in London. And across the road at the concert hall, that's the Usher Hall, Don McLean is singing about Vincent and his life in innocence, and yet how the fact that he committed suicide for frustration, that these are the people that thrive. Okay, and my students' union from the Heriot Watt days, when Ewan Brown, who's now Sir Ewan Brown, was in charge of Heriot Watt, it's gone, it's disappeared just like that, and all of the places around them are theatrical vents for all of the people that tell the lies and the romantic stories, from Shakespearean literature to the Arthurian legends that were written by the popes in Rome. Every sector is corrupted and every sector is interlinked, and I'm going to bring it to its knees. And thank you to the French people yesterday for your decency, and all of the folk that I talked to on the pavements of Edinburgh.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. And like that, he's gone.
I will try and find a policeman to ask them why they are now circulating my estate in the big iconic vehicle with the blue lamp on top. Okay, they are the victims of this, and their jobs are tumbling now, and that has been openly declared by a colleague of mine who wants to make videos with me, and is jobless because of the persecution of the innocent by this vicious system, and the death threats that come from people that are prepared to be part of the joke as working class Geordies. Okay, he succumbed 18 months ago.